Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Wednesday Night Toiletstotitles NFL review preview. This is with Joe Knows, and I'm Joe Knows. We're going to be reviewing NFL Week 7 tonight. I'll be giving at least my take on that, on the results of last week's games, and then I'll be previewing the Week 8 games, which will mostly consist of my picks for those games. So before we get into the content, real quick, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Give us a 5-star Apple review if you can, because we deserve it. I'd really appreciate it. Where you can follow the show: Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, and Facebook, where we have 2 pages. That's Toilets and Titles, and When a Family Breaks, which is our Facebook page dedicated to the trading of sports memorabilia. And don't forget, you can go to patreon.com/toiletstotitles. Here it is, as a matter of fact, where you can learn how you can further support the show. And we have a new website that launched August 1st, which I'm very proud of. It's an awesome website. It's got all of our videos, our articles, tons of fantasy football content and NFL content. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. I'm really, really proud of that website. It's a great job. And after this show, at around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is Dollars to Deuces with Rich and Nate. It's weekly betting advice. And again, it's on after the show at around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check it out. I check it out. I'm usually in the chat on that show. Every show. I really enjoyed a lot. So a lot of fun. But anyway, let's dive right into the content. Last week, there were 6 teams that were on bye last week, so there weren't nearly as many games. I guess that was 3 less games than we would normally have. But the Thursday night game was yet another good game. Wasn't a high scoring game, wasn't a sexy game, but it was a good game. We had the Browns versus the Broncos. Actually, I should say it was the Broncos at the Browns, I believe. And the Browns won the game. They're now 4-3. The Broncos are now 3-4. I believe the Broncos have lost 4 in a row after starting off 3-0. So the final score of the game was 17-14. The star of this game was absolutely the Browns. Browns like 3rd string or maybe even 4th string running back, and D'Ernest Johnson, who put up 146 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and he had 22 yards receiving as well. So D'Ernest Johnson, he was like 3rd, maybe 4th string running back for the Browns, running behind that really good offensive line that Cleveland has, which is definitely, I think, their identity. Obviously, the running game is their identity, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have a great tandem running back duo in Chubb and Hunt. But that offensive line is really good on Cleveland. They make it work. And here you have like their 3rd or 4th string running back coming in, looking like an all-pro. And again, D'Ernest Johnson, he put up a total of 166 yards and 1 touchdown. So he had a great game. Case Keenum, a backup quarterback for Cleveland, did just enough to help win this game. He put up 199 yards, 1 touchdown, a very Case Keenum type game. Very safe quarterback. Really, you can't get a better backup quarterback than Case Keenum. And he came in, he did his job, 21 for 33, 199 yards in the air. And did he put up anything on the ground? Not really. I don't think he's much of a runner anyway, but put up 1 touchdown. No big mistakes there at all. So he did a really good job. Cleveland's defense definitely did the job. Denver's now kind of reeling, 4 losses in a row. I believe it's 4 losses in a row. And Teddy Bridgewater, I think the sun is definitely setting on Teddy Bridgewater. I think Teddy Bridgewater as a starter stinks anyway, to be honest with you. I thought, listen, Denver maybe didn't make a mistake in going with Bridgewater as the early season starter, but I think it's time to move on to Andrew Luck, because Teddy Bridgewater is not an answer to anything. You won 3 games, and I'm sure you win more games than Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think you're going to win enough games to make it to the playoffs, to be honest with you. And even if you did, you're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs with Teddy Bridgewater. I think your defense is very, very good, but this isn't like the 2000 Ravens that we're talking about here. Me, myself, I think you got to give Locke more of a time to see what he can possibly do. And if he's not the answer this year, then you'd try to get a quarterback next year. But Teddy Bridgewater, he's, I think, an ideal, like Case Keenum. Teddy Bridgewater is an ideal backup quarterback. He is not someone you want as a starter. That's a bad sign. Bridgewater's name is a name I've always heard that just kind of annoyed me. Like, listen, if you don't have like an elite quarterback, you have kind of like a middling quarterback or not so good starting quarterback who's young. People are always like, oh, well, you can get Teddy Bridgewater. He's out there. And you're not getting much with Teddy Bridgewater. You're getting like Case Keenum, but as a starter, and that's it. You're really not getting much, to be honest with you. Bridgewater put up 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. His average yards per attempt were 5.7. And this is what he is. He's a safe quarterback. He doesn't really make too many mistakes. And that's the most that you can really say about him. And Denver was kind of picking on, as far as I recall, they were picking on the crappy teams that they were playing at the beginning of the season, including my Giants. And that's really it. Not much of a running game, really. Javonte Williams, who I think is a good young running back, don't get me wrong. He didn't do much this game. He only had 20 carries. He had 20 yards and 4 carries. Melvin Gordon only 18 yards on 8 carries, so they didn't do much. Cortland Sutton was held to minimal performance. He's a very good wide receiver, and I totally believe in Cortland Sutton. I think he's fantastic, but he only had 68 yards here. But listen, and Noah Fant only had 39 yards. But this is listen, Cleveland's defense is very good, and it's for real. And they did a very good job here against Denver. But I think it's time for Denver to to give Andrew Luck give Drew Lock a shot as the starting quarterback. It's time to move on, I think, and give that kid a shot. And then if he doesn't perform the rest of the year, then try to draft a new quarterback next year. All right, so let's move on to the next game, and let me get rid of this over here. We don't need that anymore. And the next game, Packers defeated Washington 24-10. Not surprised by this result at all. I had actually taken, and I'll get to my the results of my picks from last week. I'll get to that later in the program, right before I do next week's picks. I didn't have the best week last week with my picks. I was like 500 or a little above 500, but I had taken, as far as I recall, I had taken Washington with the points. I think they were getting like 8.5 points. So I took Washington with the points. I took the Packers straight up to win, of course, but I took Washington with the points, and I definitely failed in that regard. Washington is another team that's reeling. There were pretty high expectations for Washington coming into the season. But Packers did a good job. Packers, like I predicted after they lost that first game against the Saints week 1, I had a feeling the Packers were going to roll up a whole bunch of wins after that. And lo and behold, here we are. They're 6-1 now, the Packers. So Aaron Rodgers put up 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Taylor Heineke coming down to earth. He had a really good start to the season, and he's a good young quarterback. Don't get me wrong, Taylor Heineke only put up really didn't. Let's see. Let me go into the box score on this one. Hang on one second. So Heineke put up 268 yards. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also put up 95 yards on the ground. So actually, pretty impressive game by Heineke. Heineke does his part for Washington, I'll tell you. But I don't know what they're missing. Washington, they're confounding. Antonio Gibson is definitely not turning out to be the stud that some thought he would be, or many thought he would be. I had my own question marks about that guy coming in, Gibson. I don't think he had really proven too much so far. Young career, so far he's only been around for like 2 seasons, I think. But the guy was kind of seemed like he was an injury waiting to happen coming into the season, and he really hasn't done much. I'd say like he and Miles Sanders over in Philadelphia, are 2 guys that a lot of people were expecting a lot from this year, and just not showing it so far. But Terry McLaurin, scary Terry, did have a big game with a touchdown on 122 yards. Ricky Seals-Jones, tight end, this guy's rejuvenating his career. He put up 51 yards. That's at least his second good performance this season, at least. I know he had a good one against the Giants. Not a surprise a few weeks ago. And but Washington's defense. Listen, letting up 24 points to the Packers is not bad at all. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I just got to say, overall, this season, Packers defense has really not been good. And I know they had a good ranking last year, much like the Giants defense last year. The Giants had like the 9th ranked overall defense last year. And I think Washington might have had like a 3rd ranked defense last year, if I recall correctly. And I wasn't really buying into either in terms of being able to do it 2 years in a row. The reason being with Washington has a fearsome front 4. And I'd say overall the front 7's pretty good, but especially their front 4. But their secondary stinks. And I thought so going into the season, and it's really shown. There are some games they could have won this season, Washington, that is, if their defense had played better. But you do have to put up more than 10 points against Green Bay and their defense. 10 points obviously isn't gonna cut it. But Green Bay, they reel off their 6th win in a row. Washington is 2-5, and I don't think they have really any major help on the way anyway, unless you consider the quarterback Fitzpatrick coming back. I believe Fitzpatrick is coming back sometime this season. if you consider him major reinforcements, I don't think Washington's really suffering from any other major injuries, to be honest with you. That's really going to improve their chances here. So I think Washington's looking mediocre, and I think that's kind of going to be the outlook for the rest of their season, to be honest with you. I think that's just who they are. Um, and then, but Green Bay is looking like Green Bay. They're always one of the best teams in football. And we'll see what happens when they get to the playoffs, though. But I never trust Green Bay's defense. But right now, Green Bay is looking really, really good. All right, so moving on to the next game, and wow, this one, holy cow! Uh, it's not so much a surprise that the Titans took down the Chiefs, but 27-3, wow! And I believe it was in Kansas City too. So, like I said, the Titans winning wasn't necessarily a surprise. The Titans have beaten some really good teams this year. They beat the Chiefs, and I realize this isn't the Chiefs of the past few years. I realize that, but it's still Patrick Mahomes. It's still Tyreek Hill. It's still Travis Kelsey. It's still Andy Reid. You're talking about, calling the shots over there. So that's still impressive. I realize the Chiefs are like they're 3-4 now, and I still I'll never count out Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But right now things aren't looking good. Their defense is looking horrible. But it's astounding that the Titans held them to 3 points. The Titans defense has been getting better and better every week. Coming into the season, I think like most people thought the Titans defense stunk. And it was looking bad like the first 2 games, but they've gotten so much better over like the past 3 or 4 games. And the Titans have got some really good, tough wins against really good teams under the belt. And I will consider the Chiefs to be a tough win. I don't care that they're 3-4, but it's still Patrick Mahomes. So they get a big time win over here. The Titans are 5-2 right now, and they're looking like the best team in their division, and they're rocking. They're rocking. And they got AJ Brown had a good game too. He had pretty much his first good game of the season. Let me go to the box score in this one. Ryan Tannehill doing a good job, 270 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 10 yards per attempt. Very good job there by him. Actually, yeah, 10 yards per attempt. He went 21 for 27. That's nice, really nice. Derrick Henry, 86 yards on the ground. And I'm looking, Derrick Henry also put up 16 yards receiving. So Derrick Henry only had 96 yards combined, no touchdowns. And yet Tennessee put up 27 points. Very impressive. Ryan Tannehill threw for a touchdown. He also ran for a touchdown as well. A.J. Brown, big time game. Finally, this is a guy that I think many of us were giving up on on AJ Brown because if he's injured, that's one thing, and the guy's got a history of injury. But when he's on the field, you expect big things from him, and he was not producing. When he was on the field this year, he was not producing at all. AJ Brown shows up big time, 133 yards, 1 touchdown. Um, and really, that's like the only big time performance. The ball got spread out to many other people. Julio Jones, 38 yards. Uh, Michael Pruitt, 27 yards. Josh Reynolds, 23 yards. You know, so the ball got spread around pretty well there. And but Tennessee, I'll tell you, they're rolling, man. They are looking strong. I like Tennessee a lot. They're just. I think Vrabel's a really good head coach. The Tennessee Titans reflect Vrabel. Tough guy, tough team. I like that. It reminds me of the Baltimore Ravens, just like a tough team. I really like that a lot. And Tennessee won me over. They won my heart over a few years ago when they beat Baltimore in the playoffs. So what was it, 2 years ago? And they wound up losing the Chiefs, I think, in the AFC Championship game. And that was a good game. That was a good game. Kansas City wound up. I think Kansas City had to come back and win that game against Tennessee, but Tennessee had a great season. I love Derrick Henry. He's probably my favorite running back in the NFL. And so I'll tell you, man, Tennessee is rocking and rolling right now. It's really impressive to see Patrick Mahomes. He had a concussion apparently. The Chiefs are playing my Giants this upcoming weekend. We'll see what happens with Mahomes. I think indications are right now that he's going to play, but we'll see. It's a big time question mark. And the game is in Kansas City. Mahomes in the game against Tennessee only went 20 for 35 for 206 yards, 1 interception. He also ran for 35 yards on the ground. Really nothing else notable here. Travis Kelsey, 65 yards. It's a pretty good game. Tyreek Hill, only 49 yards. So, right now Kansas City is reeling. And it's definitely, this is very unexpected. I can see them losing some games, by a score of like 30-29 or something like that, but 27-3. Wow. That's impressive. Impressive. So let's move on to the next game, which was the Falcons and the Dolphins. Hang on one second. I screwed up there. Okay, the Falcons, who are now 3-3, defeated the now 1-6 Dolphins 30-28. The Falcons, nobody, or I should say at least myself, and I think most other people, were expecting nothing from the Falcons this year. We expected them to be really bad. We expected to be, the Kyle Pitts show, and maybe Matt Ryan, and maybe the wide receiver. I'm blanking on his name right now, but that's pretty much it. We weren't expecting anything from them, especially their defense. And here the Falcons are 3-3. So good job for the Atlanta Falcons. I have to say, I have to give them credit. They defeated the reeling Dolphins. The Dolphins are reeling, but still, whatever. Falcons are taking care of business, man. I thought the Dolphins would win this game with Tua back at the helm. I don't think Tua looks great right now, but he's looked serviceable in his young career. And I think the Dolphins overall respond pretty well when he is at quarterback. But Dolphins lost 30-28. They're not looking good at all. Dolphins are definitely another team that I was expecting a lot more from this year. I wasn't expecting them to be an elite team, but I expected them to be like, I'd say probably at least 10-7 and be in the playoff hunt. But they are absolutely reeling, and there's strong rumors, strong indications that Deshaun Watson probably will be traded to the Dolphins sometime this weekend before the November 2nd trade deadline. I believe the trade deadline is either November 1st or November 2nd. And there are strong indications that the Dolphins are going to be trading for Deshaun Watson. Now, if they trade for him tomorrow, I highly doubt Deshaun Watson's going to be playing this Sunday, obviously, because, he doesn't know the Dolphins playbook at all. But personally, I don't think the Dolphins should do it. I think it's crazy giving up 3 first-round picks, but that's just me. But if they do get Deshaun Watson, and if he's allowed to play, Dolphins have a lot of offensive firepower waiting to take off, waiting to take off. And if Deshaun Watson is allowed to play for them this year, he's going to help those offensive weapons launch for the Dolphins. So, and the Dolphins could easily rattle off a whole bunch of wins once he starts playing, if he's allowed to play Deshaun Watson. But the Falcons, let's give the Falcons some credit here. They played really well. Again, they're 3-3. Let me go to that box score over there. And Matt Ryan, having a pretty good year, man. He went 25 for 40, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Old man Ryan still doing the job there. Cordarrelle Patterson, what a rejuvenation of a career. He had 60 yards on the ground with a touchdown, and he only had 1 yard receiving this game. Usually he's got a lot more yards receiving, but not this week. But he put up 60 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Kyle Pitts, rookie tight end, 163 yards. That's the type of weapon this guy can be. He's going to be phenomenal. When they took him, I think with the number 4 overall pick, I think it might have been number 3, might have been number 4, one or the other. I thought it was the right move. He's a weapon at a position that it is extremely hard to get that type of production from. And when they took him number 4, I didn't blame them at all. And if they weren't going to take a quarterback, then I had no problem with Kyle Pitts at all. I thought it was a phenomenal pick. I thought it was the right pick, and he put up 163 yards. And Pitts is having a really good season overall as a rookie. He is, but I'd say this is probably the first game that he had that was really, really big monster game, and he showed up and he did it. And but he has played very well overall, Kyle Pitts. I think people were kind of expecting this type of game earlier in the season, but whatever. He's a rookie, and he's not playing on the best team. He does have a good quarterback thrown to him. But he's not playing on the best team. But Kyle Pitts I think he's having a very good rookie year, and he had just had that monster game. Tua, 291 yards on 32 for 40 passing, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Tua also had 29 yards on the ground too. So I'm not a big believer in Tua. I'm not, but I also think he's got a legitimate shot to be a pretty darn good NFL quarterback if he's given time. I think he also seems to be his own worst enemy with his history of injury. But I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him get more time, to be honest with you. And I assume that if Miami's trading for Deshaun Watson, and I think they are, I assume is going to be included. I assume he's going to be included in that package. So I don't know. I can't give up 3 first round picks. You want to do 2 first round picks? That's one thing. I'd give them 2 first round picks and Tua. I can't give them 3. I think that's ridiculous. That's just me. I think that's ridiculous, but that's just me. But anyway, good job by the Falcons here, and they are staying relevant. Miami, yep, yep. Not a good year. Not a good year. Okay, moving on to the next game, guys, and we have the Patriots and the Jets. The Patriots. I talk about speaking of promising good rookie talent. The Patriots, Mac Jones, quarterback. Patriots are now 3-4. They defeated the now 1-5 Jets, 54-13. The Jets are reeling. Let me say this, Jets fans, because I do watch videos with Jet fan reactions to their games, which obviously 5 of them have been losses so far. My Giants aren't much better in terms of the record department. Jet fans, give your team, your new coach, some time. All right, give them some time. I don't know what your expectations were coming into the season. I thought you had a really bad team. I know a lot of people were talking about your defense coming in like, oh, this is a really good defense. They got an offense that they're building, but the defense is already very good. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. I knew they were pretty good last year, but I thought it was a defense that could, have, take a big time step back this year, and they have. And they have. Listen, you got to score more than 13 points to win, but your young quarterback, do not give up on this guy just yet. All right. He is a rookie quarterback. You don't have the best weapons. I'm sorry, but when Corey Davis is like your number one wide receiver and Jamison Crowder has always been a no big deal wide receiver. Jamison Crowder, people have always talked about this guy as if he's something good. This guy's never been as good as people have made him out to be, Jamison Crowder. Corey Davis is fine. And it's like maybe like he'd be an ideal number 3 wide receiver. I don't even think he's a very good number 1, a very good number. I don't think Corey Davis is a very good number 2 wide receiver, let alone number 1. Forget about number 1. Even when he was playing with A.J. Brown in Tennessee, A.J. Brown is the number 1. Corey Davis even really wasn't doing much. He wasn't doing much as the number 1 in Tennessee. He wasn't doing much as the number 2 in Tennessee. So you guys need some real weapons for this kid. Elijah Moore could wind up being a really good wide receiver for you guys. Could wind up being a number 1. I don't think that. I think his ceiling is a really good number 2, but you need that. Elijah Moore, I think his ceiling is a very good number 2, and he could eventually give that to you. He hasn't shown it yet, but he eventually could do that. I'd say next year you definitely need to get a legitimate like Jamar Chase or like Jalen Waddle type of prospect or Devonta Smith type of prospect, or dare I say, a Kadarius Toney type of prospect for you. But seriously, next year, wide receiver, you need to target for this kid. I think you have an offensive line that's coming along fine in terms of talent. You're missing your left tackle who you drafted last year, who looked like an absolute stud. His problem is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But when he's healthy, the guy's a monster of a left tackle. You have Elijah Vera Tucker, who is having a very good year. He was a first round pick, I think the 14th pick overall by you guys this year. And he's having a very good job. I think your offensive line's coming along well. I think your GM is building this team the right way. All right, Joe Douglas, your GM, but you need to give it some time. I realize that, like Giants fans, our team has stunk for like 10 years now. It's painful, to continue to wait. But you got to realize that you came into this year with not much. I'll be honest. You didn't really have much of an offensive line except for your left tackle. You drafted the guard Elijah Vera Tucker this year, but you came into this year just with 2 young promising offensive linemen. Really, you don't have an elite weapon in your repertoire at all yet. And your defense is good, but you don't have any like super studs that can take over a game. You don't have like Jamal Adams was that type of guy, and I don't blame you for trading him. You should have traded Jamal Adams. The fact that you got that many first round picks for him is amazing. Congratulations to you. But I would have traded Jamal Adams' ass myself. That guy was an asshole. So it's a good thing you traded him. But I'm saying my point is that you need that type of player, like a guy who can take over a game by himself, preferably not a safety. I do love safeties myself, but I'm saying you need someone like a pass rusher. You need a pass rusher who can really take over a game for you guys. So you have first round picks. You have I think at least 2 first round picks next year. I think possibly 3. So you could super improve this team next year in next year's draft. You got to be a little patient and be patient with Zach Wilson. He doesn't look good, but he is a rookie quarterback. He's very raw, and he doesn't have the best weapons around him. got to give this guy time. And I'm sorry, but the result of this game is not a surprise. Bill Belichick is a nightmare for rookie quarterbacks. So the result of this game is not a surprise at all. And Mac Jones on the Patriots side, Mac Jones had another very nice game, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Mac Jones also put up 19 yards on the ground running. Damian Harris, a running back for New England, had a good game, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. J.J. Taylor also had 2 touchdowns and only 21 yards rushing. So look, New England's not looking so super sexy here either, but they do have very competent coaches, proven coaches. Bill Belichick, I forgot their offensive coordinator's name, Josh, what's his name? But anyway, they've got very proven coaches. They know how to do things over in New England. They've been doing it for a very long time. Jets, you got to be a little more patient. But I think Joe Douglas, your GM, is building this team the right way. And by the way, Michael Carter did have a pretty good game this past Sunday. He had 67 yards receiving and 37 yards rushing. So the guy had he had over 100 yards combined. That's a very good game by Carter. So I'm looking at Elijah Moore. Okay, Elijah Moore only had 13 yards receiving. So, but still, like I said, the guy's still a promising prospect, and he may never be a number one. I don't think he is. I think he'll be a really good number two. Next year's draft, get yourself a stud wide receiver, Jets, but you got to give this team more time. I saw a lot of Jets fans really, really down on the team, really, really down on the coaches. I'm sorry, your talent's not all that good. You need more time. Okay, show a little patience, Jets fans. Show a little patience. Moving on to all right, my Giants, who are now 2-5, defeated the 3-4 Panthers, 25-3. Panthers, I think, also like the Broncos, won 3 in a row. They've now lost 4 in a row. I think it coincides with Christian McCaffrey's injury. Not a surprise. Christian McCaffrey is such a difference maker, especially for a team like Carolina that does not have great wide receivers. Moore is a pretty good wide receiver, but he's by far not an elite number one. He's a good wide receiver. In my opinion, he's not a true number one. He's really an ideal number two. And you've got a mishmash of some other wide receivers that are nothing special. But Sam Darnold, I know people are crashing down on Sam Darnold now. I'm sorry, your offensive line's not very good. Your offensive playmakers without Christian McCaffrey are not very good. I still think the trade for Sam Darnold was good. He really didn't give up much, relatively speaking. And I think he showed him McCaffrey was in when he was healthy earlier this year. Sam Darnold was playing just fine. He needs help. This isn't Aaron Rodgers who's going to make anyone look like a golden wide receiver. He's not an elite quarterback, but I think Sam Darnold looks very, very. I think he looked very good earlier this year, but he needs playmakers. And you took out really the one good playmaker he had in Christian McCaffrey, who's the best in the game. He's the best in the game. You lose him, that makes a big deal. It's not like you've got Tyreek Hill to throw to. All right, you only had Christian McCaffrey. That's it. He's your do-it-all weapon. But he's not playing behind a very good offensive line either. And the Panthers. Listen, the Panthers have a little ways to go too. This is another. I also know that it seems like Panther fans are very down on Matt Rule and their GM. And Jesus, give me a break. You won 3 games in a row against not the best competition as far as I recall, and everyone was ready to send you to the NFC Championship game. Give me a break. Slow your roll. As we say here at Toilets Titles, slow your roll. Take it easy, Panther fans. I think you actually are building your team well, and I think you've got good talent on both sides of the ball. You got to give it more time. And with Sam Darnold, listen, you want to move on from Sam Darnold after this year? That's up to you. But I'm telling you, you still need more weapons for whatever quarterback you get, whether it's a rookie or you trade for someone. Whatever quarterback you're going to get in here, he's going to need more weapons that are not named Christian McCaffrey. Moore is really on a good receiving core. Moore is really an ideal number 2 wide receiver. He shouldn't be your number 1, but he is your number 1, and you need more weapons. That's all I can tell you. My Giants took care of business over here. Very surprised that they held the Panthers to 3 points just because the Giants defense has been horrible this year. Absolutely horrible. And I really blame that on the coaching, to be honest with you. I think the Giants defense has actually got a good amount of talent on the defense. They just lost Jabril Peppers, which hurts. He's lost now for the season. Yet another injury on the Giants, this time on the defensive side of the ball. Most of their injuries have been on the offensive side of the ball. But this was torn ACL. He's done for the rest of the year. Same thing with Blake Martinez, the middle linebacker, two very key components of the Giants defense last year. And, it's going to hurt the Giants. But Daniel Jones had a very good, effective, quiet, but effective game, a little over 200 yards. I think one passing touchdown, and one reception too. Daniel Beckham Jones. I don't know if you saw that reception that he had, Daniel Jones, but it was a one-handed catch. It's pretty cool to see. Pretty cool to see. But Giants got a badly needed win, and not just a badly needed win. They got a badly needed laugh, or at least by the middle of the third quarter was turning into a laugher. As Giants fans, we needed this big time. But hopefully, Giants offense, they've got a lot of key talent that's out, not out for the season, but they've been out for a few games. Hopefully, these guys can be coming back soon. I'm talking about left tackle Andrew Thomas, who is having a phenomenal year. He was having a phenomenal year. First 4 games this year, I don't think he didn't let up like any pressures, any hurries, any sacks. He was phenomenal. He was looking great, and he was looking like the rock to this offensive line. He was looking really good. Andrew Thomas. Obviously, Barkley went down a few weeks ago in the Dallas game with a really bad ankle injury. Kadarius Toney, he was looking awesome. Had I think an ankle or a foot injury as well. He's been out. Galladay, he's always an injury waiting to happen anyway. He's been out for the past few weeks. So the Giants made it happen here. Hopefully, the Giants are getting some of those players back this week against the Chiefs. Possibly, what I've heard is possibly Barkley, possibly Toney back this week. We'll see. I really ideally want to see these Giant players, come back together when they're 100% healthy, because I think the season's pretty much lost anyway. But I'd like to see what they can do together when they're all healthy, not out there with like ankles that are like 80%. I think the season for the Giants is pretty much lost anyway. I'd rather see these guys come in together when they're 100% healthy and see what they can all do together when they're healthy. And I got a comment over here. Let's check it out. Rich Gonzalez, what's up, Rich? Hey, we're going to get to your Raiders in a little while, Rich. Very impressive win, Rich. And by the way, I'm teeing up for your show, Rich. Rich is one of the hosts of Dollars to Deuces, along with Nate, which will be going on at around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, check it out. I'm in the chat in that show every Wednesday night. I love it. It's a fun show to watch, and Rich and Nate do a great job. So anyway, back to the content. Let's go, my friends. Let's go. So moving on. Bengals defeated the Ravens. Wow. Bengals are now 5-2. The Ravens are 5-2. Final score of this game was 41-17 Bengals. I believe this game was in Baltimore. People, the Bengals have arrived. And I'll tell you, other teams like my Giants, the Jets, quite a few other teams that are in rebuild mode, they're looking at themselves and looking at their coaches and their GMs and saying, why aren't we the Bengals right now? Why aren't we the Cardinals? Well, listen, not every rebuild goes the same. But the Bengals, hats off to you. Cincinnati Bengals fans, be proud. You deserve this. You've had, a shit show of a franchise for a long time. Even when you guys were pretty good, actually, like in the mid 2000s and like 2011, 2012, under what was it? Marvin Lewis was that the head coach? When you guys were actually pretty talented, you were always shooting yourselves in the foot. You played in the hardest division of football behind the Steelers and the Ravens. So I think in other divisions, those Bengals teams actually would have been better. And those are the Andy Dalton days. And but Bengals, man, you guys are looking so good. You got Joe Burrow, who wanted to be in Cincinnati. That's so cool. You got him. You paired him up with his boy Jamar Chase, who Joe Burrow wanted. You went out. Everyone was saying get the left tackle. Everyone was saying get Penny Sewell. And hey, if you had gotten Penny Sewell, nothing wrong with that at all. Getting a left tackle at all. But you know what? I also believe there's nothing wrong with taking a guy who can be like possibly the best wide receiver of his generation, especially when your young quarterback is saying, "Get me that guy, get me my friend." You went out and you got him. And Jamar Chase is looking like the rookie of the year. He is looking fantastic. Let's go into that box score for a second. But man, just the fact, look at that score, 41-17. Holy shit! I'll say it. Holy shit! Seriously. That is incredible. So I thought the Bengals would go in and put up a good game, but I didn't expect them to win, and I especially didn't expect them to win 41-17. Holy cow. Joe Burrow, 416 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Joe Mixon also had a nice game, and Joe Mixon put up, you know what? I thought Joe Mixon had put up some yards in the receiving game. I'm wrong. Joe Mixon put up 59 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 201 yards and a touchdown. 201 yards and a touchdown. And tight end CJ Uzoma put up 91 yards on only 3 receptions and 2 touchdowns. So Uzoma had 3 targets, 3 receptions, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's like all the rave now. He's all the talk in the fantasy world. So, but hey, nice. He only had 3 targets and he made it count. 3 receptions, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. You can't do more than that. But Jamar Chase, he is definitely the story of this game. 201 yards and a touchdown. He averaged so it was 201 yards on 8 receptions. He averaged 25 yards per reception. Really impressive. And that was on 8 targets. So he caught 8 of 10 targets. Really impressive. And this isn't a really bad defense they're going against. They went against the Baltimore Ravens defense, which is one of the best defenses. And they held, and Cincinnati's defense held, since they held Baltimore, they held the Lamar Jacksons to only 257 yards passing and a touchdown and only 88 yards on the ground. I say only 88 because Lamar Jackson's capable of putting up like 450 yards easy in any game, passing and running combined. So he put up 257 yards passing, 88 yards on the ground. And I'll tell you, they held Baltimore's rushing game to only 115 yards. That's impressive. You hold Baltimore's rushing game to 115 yards. That is really, really impressive. Hollywood Brown had a pretty good game. Hollywood Brown, 80 yards, 1 touchdown. He's having a nice year. Rashad Bateman, rookie wide receiver, who I was very high on, and many of us were very high on. 3 receptions for 80 yards. So he had 6 targets, 3 receptions, 80 yards. Rashad Bateman, keep your eye on this guy because if he winds up being the number 1 wide receiver on this team, like a true number 1 wide receiver, like a real legit number 1 wide receiver, it's going to take Baltimore to a new level. This is what they need. And it makes Hollywood Brown a number 2 wide receiver like he really should be. It's going to improve everything for Baltimore. If Rashad Bateman, and it's a lot to ask for a rookie. But Rashad Bateman, I think this was only his 2nd game back from injury, and he put up 80 yards. That's really impressive. But I think Bateman, if he comes along quickly, he's going to make a huge difference for the Ravens this year. So we'll see. But what an impressive showing from Cincinnati. I'm really happy for the Cincinnati Bengals fans. I got to say, I really am. You deserve this, Bengals fans. You deserve this. Now let's check out. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so Rich says that they are postponing the show till tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Okay, Rich, I'll make the announcement. So anyone who's watching, all of you, millions of fans who are watching the show right now, Dollars to Deuces won't be on tonight. It's going to be on tomorrow morning at around 6 a.m. I think that's 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but it's going to be on very early tomorrow morning. So Dollars to Deuces will be on very early tomorrow morning. Just got the announcement out, Rich. I'm looking forward to it. Don't be surprised if I'm in the chat anyway early in the morning. I'll probably have my iced coffee, and I'll be in the chat making my comments like I always do. All right, so let's dive back into our content. All right, speaking of Rich, Rich is our in-house Raiders fan. The Las Vegas Raiders are now 5-2. They're now 2-0 under the new coach ever since Chucky was tossed out for his racist remarks from 10 years ago. Oh, that was funny. I don't wish that on anyone, don't get me wrong, but I don't wish that on the Raiders. I like the Raiders a lot. But oof, that was uncomfortable. He's gone under the new coach. They're 2-0. It's really good to see. Raiders are back on track, baby. Raiders are 5-2. They defeated the now 2-5 Eagles 33-22. And I had actually, Rich, don't be disappointed. If you're still watching, Rich, don't be disappointed to me. I had actually taken the Eagles in the upset this week, and I thought this past week, and I thought the Raiders were gonna have a hard time containing Jalen Hurts, but they did. They did a good job, and just the Raiders overall did a really good job. Let's dive into the box score in this game too. So Raiders are back on track. I think the Raiders had started off 3-0, and then I think they lost 2 in a row. I believe they lost 2 in a row, and then they've won the last 2 as well. So they've been streaky. But Raiders are back on track. They're 5-2. Derek Carr, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Kenyon Drake, I love Kenyon Drake, man. I'd like to see this guy be used more. I know he's not Josh Jacobs, and I know he's not an elite running back. I just think this guy could be used so much more often on whatever team he's on. I think Kenyon Drake is a guy who could be used so much more in the passing game and the running game. But Kenyon Drake had a nice game here, 69 yards and a touchdown, as rushing, and he only had 10 yards receiving. But I don't know. I'd love to see Kenyon Drake on the Giants as kind of like a compliment to Saquon Barkley, to be honest with you. Josh Jacobs had a quiet game, 29 yards and a touchdown rushing. He also put up 39 yards receiving, so that's good by Jacobs. Let me look at Hunter Renfrow, 58 yards. That's Hunter Renfrow for you. He's pretty consistent, huh? A good 58 yards. Foster Moreau put up 60 yards and a touchdown. And just looking over here, so really no sexy numbers by Vegas. They distributed the ball very, very well. Jalen Hurts, 18 for 34, 236 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. And he also put up 61 yards on the ground. So Jalen Hurts is, in my opinion, Jalen Hurts is not the problem for the Eagles. You look at Miles Sanders only getting 30 yards rushing. That's a problem. That's a problem. Miles Sanders is better than that. That's a problem. Devonta Smith, 61 yards. Not bad. Not bad. Kenneth Gainwell had a pretty good game. Kenneth Gainwell is a guy I've been touting since the start of the season. He's back. He's like the RB2 on the Eagles. He only put up 20 yards on the ground, but he also put up 41 yards receiving and a touchdown. So I like Kenneth Gainwell a lot. And I'll tell you that what's going on with Miles Sanders is not good for the Eagles at all. And but I'll tell you, I think Jalen Hurts each week is putting up his numbers. He's putting up like 2 or 3 touchdowns every week. This guy is like a kind of turning into a fantasy god light. And he's really bringing it, Jalen Hurts. I like Hurts a lot. I really do. And I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm a Giants fan. But I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I got to admit, I'm rooting for the guy. And I thought the Eagles made the right decision in giving him a year to show what he can do. And I think he's showing up a lot. And listen, I think the Eagles need more talent, and they're going to have a bunch of first round picks next year as well. And I think the Eagles. Listen, they're only 2-5, just like my Giants, but I think the Eagles are actually a pretty talented team, and they have a lot of good young talent on offense. And I think they just need to keep building through the draft, like they did last year. And like I said, they have a bunch of picks in next year's draft, and just keep building. But I like Jalen Hurts. I really do. I really do. All right, so let's see, Rich. I'm disappointed. Hey, Rich, you know what? I was getting scared, Rich, about the Raiders. Just with the head coaching change and everything, and you never know how that's going to affect things. And Raiders are doing good, man. It was almost like that was a shot of adrenaline to the Raiders that they needed, and they're looking really good. I'm with you, Rich. I should have went with the Raiders. You're absolutely right, man. I made a mistake, and I'm sorry. But listen, I think for me, it was about Jalen Hurts, Rich. For me, I think Jalen Hurts is hard for another team to contain. And not that this is like he's the greatest quarterback in the history of football, but he's just a guy who just he's putting up numbers every week. He's putting up touchdowns. And but the rest of it's not like his receivers are putting up big numbers. They're not. They're not. But Jalen Hurts is doing a lot. And but I really thought it was just more of like, okay, I was questioning whether the Raiders, how everything was going to go with the new head coach. I realized it was the second game that he was in there. They already won the first game that he was head coach, but I was questioning that. And I just had a feeling about the Eagles. But yeah, correct one. Yeah, correct. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Rich. One man does not win games. One man does not win games. I just had a feeling he was just gonna kind of like tie the Raiders up in a pretzel there. So, but I was wrong. I was wrong. So, but definitely good to win by the Raiders. And the Raiders are rolling again like they were to start off the season in their beautiful new home. All right, moving on to the next game we got over here. What do we got going on over here? The Rams, baby. The Rams 6-1 defeat the 0-7 Lions, 28-19. The Lions are now 0-7. But I got to say this: the Lions are the best 0-7 team I've ever seen in my life. They fight every week. I want to call them the Detroit Dan Campbells because I like Dan Campbell, and the Lions reflect Dan Campbell. I think they come every week. Doesn't matter who the opponent is, and they play hard. And the line on this game, I think if I recall correctly, was like 16 points or 18 and a half points or something like that the Rams were giving. And the Lions made this a game. They made it a game. And listen, they're not playing with the best quarterback. They're not playing with the best offensive weapons. They got some pretty good offensive weapons. They've got, a good running back duo over there. The wide receivers, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I don't think he's ever going to be a legitimate number one. I think his ceiling eventually will be a really good number two. So they're lacking in a lot over there, and it's not like the defense is like on paper is not the greatest thing in the world, but here they are, just coming every week to fight. They fight, fight, fight. The Fighting Lions. I like that a lot. So, like I said, they're for me they are the Detroit Dan Campbells. I think they reflect that guy, and I like him a lot. I really do. I like Dan Campbell. Let's go to the box score in this game a little bit over here. So Rams are now 6-1. Matthew Stafford, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp, not a surprise, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Robert Woods, 70 yards. Nice there. Nice game there. Darrell Henderson was pretty quiet. Doesn't matter. The Rams were passing the crap out of the ball. Darrell Henderson, 45 yards on 15 carries. Jared Goff, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Jamal Williams, 57 yards. DeAndre Swift, 48 yards. DeAndre Swift also put up 96 yards receiving and a touchdown. Hawkinson had 48 yards receiving. Khalif Raymond, wide receiver, 115 yards receiving. So some good numbers here by Detroit. But like I said, they've got a ways to go. But I like the way that they're building. I think Detroit is building a more physical brand now. I think they used to be more like bells and whistles and sex appeal. Now I think they're actually building in the trenches. They're becoming more physical. I think that's the way to do it. I like the way Detroit's building. They're obviously going to need more time, but hey, man, they're coming every week. Every week, Detroit's coming, and they're bringing it as best as they can, and they go down fighting. So they will get a win. They will get a win this season, the Lions, and I think probably more than one. They're really not that bad of a team. They're really not that bad of a team, but they have found even some of the easier opponents that they played. They've found obviously ways to lose, but you know what? Detroit's bringing it every week, and I'm really, really happy for them. Detroit Lion fans, be proud. I know they look bad now. They will get better. So, but they're building a physical team, and that's what they need to be. And so I think they're building it the right way. Let's move on to the next game, and that is going to be Cardinals at the Texans. No one's surprised by this result over here. I'm surprised that actually the only thing I'm surprised about is that the Cardinals only put up 31 points. Kyler Murray, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Really good game by him, 20 for 28. That's awesome. Just looking for big numbers over here. Nah, he distributed the ball around pretty well here. 66 yards for Ertz. First game, I believe, as a Cardinal for Zach Ertz, 66 yards and a touchdown. So tight end, this has been such a bad year for tight ends. Zach Ertz going to the Cardinals should be very good for him. And anyone who's got Zach Ertz in fantasy, it has been a really bad year for tight ends in fantasy. AJ Green, 66 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, only 53 yards and a touchdown, though. Christian Kirk, 50 yards and a touchdown. My man, Rondale Moore, only 17 yards. So I had Rondale Moore, I think, on pretty much every single fantasy team that I had this year. When I started off the year, I had him for like 3-4 weeks. I think I eventually had to drop him by like week 5. I couldn't carry him anymore. But I do believe in Rondale Moore that he is eventually going to be their number 2, and he's going to be an extremely productive number 2. But right now, not turning out that way. And Arizona's defense again. Listen, I know Houston's horrible, but letting up only 5 points is really good. And Arizona's defense has been really kicking everyone's ass this year. They've been doing a really good job. So let's see. I'm just looking for, obviously, Houston really didn't do much. Davis Mills, 135 yards. Nico Collins, 28 yards receiving. That obviously it's not much there, but he actually their rookie wide receiver, Nico Collins, who I think could eventually be a very good number 2 wide receiver. He only had 28 yards, but he actually led the team in receiving. So yeah, it's gonna be a long year for Houston. But hey, listen, if Houston makes that trade for to Miami and they can get those 3 first-round picks, or at least 2 first-round picks and Tua, it's going to make a big deal. It's going to make a big deal for Houston in terms of their rebuild. They really will. Okay, let's move on to the next game here. What do we got? Oh, the Buccaneers and the Bears. Another game that's not a surprise at all. This was a huge point spread. Buccaneers were giving something like 18.5 points or 16 points, whatever it was. Buccaneers are now 6-1. They defeated the Bears, who are now 3-4. The Bears were actually having a better season so far than I thought they would. It's really the Bears defense that's been keeping the Bears in their games in every single game so far this year. Obviously, they're going against Tampa Bay, who they had no chance against Tampa Bay. Is just light years better than the Bears. Buccaneer. I think the Buccaneers and the Cowboys are actually the two best teams in the NFC right now. And if I had to pick right now the two teams that will eventually represent the NFC in the NFC Championship game, I think it'll be the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. I like the Cardinals a lot. I don't think they're as good as the Cowboys and the Bucks. And I think the Rams are obviously very good too. I don't think they're as good as the Buccaneers and the Cowboys either. But Buccaneers took care of business against the Bears. Let's go into that box score just to see what Justin Fields did, which obviously couldn't have been much. I believe he was the starter this weekend. Yeah, Justin Fields, 184 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Khalil Herbert, though, rookie running back, this was a guy they picked up who I liked a lot. 100 yards on 18 carries, so very nice job by him. And Khalil Herbert also provided 33 yards in the receiving game, so very nice job by Khalil Herbert. Justin Fields also put up 38 yards rushing as well. And that's it. Nothing else to write home about for Chicago, to be honest with you. On Tampa Bay, Brady, a very efficient game, 211 yards, 4 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, he's having a rejuvenation to his career. Hopefully it continues. Hopefully Fournette doesn't get injured, and hopefully Tampa Bay doesn't make the stupid mistake of giving Ronald Jones another chance as the starting running back. I'll be furious to see that. Leonard Fournette, 15 carries, 81 yards. Ronald Jones did have 10 carries, 63 yards. I can't stand Ronald Jones. I think he's horrible. He stinks, but he put up 63 yards. I'm telling you, I just get worried that the head coach for the Buccaneers is going to give Ronald Jones the starting running back gig again. That scares me. I think Ronald Jones is just horrible. I think he might be on the toiletstotitles all stinks team. Maybe as our running back 1 or running back 2, he should be on. If he's not, he needs to be on there because Ronald Jones just flat out stinks. Chris Godwin, 111 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans, 76 yards, 3 touchdowns. And yeah, good game there. So, Buccaneers took care of business like they should. Bears are 3-4, but surprisingly, they have 3 wins so far. I'm really surprised by that. I thought the Buccaneers were going to just have an absolutely horrible, not the Buccaneers, I thought the Bears were going to have an absolutely horrible year. So, have an absolutely horrible 2021, and that hasn't happened. They've been competitive except for this game. Let's see, but Justin Fields, Bears fans, wait till next year when you get Nagy out of here. Nagy's got to go. Your coaches have to go. They're horrible. Don't trash on Fields just yet. I also think he needs some better weapons too. Poor Allen Robinson's drowning over in Chicago. That poor guy. But Chicago does need more offensive talent around him, in my opinion. But first and foremost, Chicago needs some real coaches that know what they're doing. So hopefully it doesn't wind up being too lost of a year for Justin Fields. Let's move on to the next game. The Colts, we got Justin Stevens, our in-house Colts fan. His Colts defeated the 49ers 30-18. The Colts are now 3-4. The 49ers are now 2-4. Colts manhandled the 49ers in this game. Colts are looking better and better every week now. They had a slow start, and that shouldn't be surprising because you had Wentz coming in. It was his first year with the Colts. Yes, he's Frank Reich used to be his quarterback coach, but this is Wentz's first year in a new offense. And I think he also had like 2 injured ankles earlier this year too, like in week 1 or week 2. And Wentz is not playing with the most talented wide receiving core. They're not bad, but I believe T.Y. Hilton's going to be back this week. I believe he's going to be back in week 8, and that should help them out a lot. Now, T.Y. Hilton, I don't think he's going to be T.Y. Hilton from 4 years ago, but he is going to be the best wide receiver. As long as he's healthy, T.Y. Hilton will be the best wide receiver for Indianapolis as soon as he steps on the grass. And that's going to help them out a lot. But even without Hilton, the Colts are coming along really well. They're now 3-4. They're looking up at Tennessee in the AFC South. But the Colts they easily could have been 4-3. 2 weeks ago, they had a really tough loss against Baltimore. And that was tough, man, because it looked like they were in control of things up until like 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, and then Baltimore started their comeback, which really shouldn't be a shock. Baltimore never lays down for anyone. They never give up. And they just got their asses kicked by the Bengals this week, which is a surprise. But really, you can never count the Ravens out. They're just a tough team, especially with Lamar Jackson. That guy is a friggin' magician. But Colts put up a really good fight against Baltimore. but they are 3-4 now. They went into San Francisco and they won. And I realize the 49ers are not the team that a lot of people thought they may be going into this year, but still, it's not easy going into San Francisco and winning. And the Colts did it. So, kudos to them. Let me go to the box score for that game real quick. Um, I really want to look at Wentz the most, to be honest. All right, Wentz had a quiet game, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Jonathan Taylor, 170 yards rushing and a touchdown as well. And let's see, Michael Pittman had a really nice game, 105 yards and a touchdown. And Pittman is capable of doing that. Don't get me wrong, but I think Pittman would be a really nice number 2. If Ty can come back and really be like that number 1, I don't think Ty is ever going to be elite again like he was for a few years. I don't think he's ever going to be elite again, but I think he is better than Pittman. And him just being Hilton taking over the number 1 spot, I think will make Pittman even better. And it's just going to help this team out. It's going to help this offense out, and it's going to help Carson Wentz out. But Carson Wentz I think, is having a good year with Indianapolis. Like I said, it was a rough start, but that should sort of be expected. It's his first time in the offense, and he's gotten better and better every single week. So 2 touchdowns, zero interceptions, only 150 yards, but whatever. They controlled this game, and Indianapolis has a very, very good defense. So Indianapolis is looking better and better every week. The 49ers are reeling. Elijah Mitchell did have a really nice game, 107 yards rushing and a touchdown. And Deebo Samuel had 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. But really, how consistent is that going to be? This receiving core for San Francisco, Deebo Samuel could easily put up 20 yards receiving next week. You just never know what's going to happen with these guys. Obviously, their running attack has been decimated with injuries. Elijah Mitchell he's a rookie. I liked him a lot too coming into this year when he was drafted by San Francisco. But he is kind of hit or miss. He is kind of hit or miss. He had a very good game this week, but you can't necessarily count on that for next week either. And Jimmy Garoppolo is looking like Jimmy Crapopolo. He's crap. He really is crap. And the fact is though that Trey Lance probably is not ready to come in. Maybe at the end of the year, maybe like the last 4, 5, 6 games of the year, maybe they could throw Trey Lance in there to see what he can do. But you don't want to rush that guy. You don't want to rush Trey Lance too quickly. He only had 1 year in college football where he put up big numbers, and that was 2 years ago because last year Trey Lance, I think, played 1 game and then took the COVID exemption and sat out the rest of the year. So I think Trey Lance has a lot of potential. He's got a lot of attributes that just make you drool, and I think he can be the real deal. But I think this year, obviously, you're not going to expect that from him. But hopefully, Trey Lance will be a starter like the last 4, 5, 6 games of the year for San Francisco, and let's see what he can do. Put him behind the wheel for a little bit. That's what I say. That's what old Joe Nose says. Anyway, moving on to the next game. Saints defeated the Seahawks 13-10. Ugh, what a boring game, honestly. What a boring game. It was a close game, but it was a boring ass game. You don't have Drew Brees anymore with the Saints. You don't have Russell Wilson's out with with an injury. So the Saints are now 4-2 though. They're 4-2, and the Seahawks have now fallen to 2-5. Final score was 13-10. But you don't have Drew Brees anymore. Russell Wilson's out with broken fingers. So this game was, and Seahawks defense sucks. But hey, listen, Saints only put up 13 points. I'm not surprised. I'm not a big believer in the Saints offense. When they were putting up some points earlier this year, like some big points, it was all smoke and mirrors. It was really the defense getting them the ball, with short field. The Saints defense is pretty good, and they were getting the offense, the Saints offense, the ball back with at like the opponent's like 40-yard line, so they'd be working with a short field. It was all smoke and mirrors. The only thing the Saints have going for them on offense is Alvin Kamara. That is it. Jameis Winston, I was hoping for like a really good bounce back year for him, a rejuvenation in his career under Sean Payton. It's not turning out that way at all. But he also doesn't have any receivers to throw to. Michael Thomas is, I don't know what his problem is. He injured? I don't even remember. I just know that it looked like I have a feeling Michael Thomas is on his way out. Whenever he does come back from the IR, from the injured reserve, he is going to be, I think he's going to be shipped out of New Orleans. If not this year, then next year. But New Orleans needs weapons. They do not have weapons. Let me go into this box score over here real quick. Kamara had 51 yards rushing and 128 yards receiving and a touchdown. So it was the Alvin Kamara show, and that's pretty much it. And that is it. Jameis Winston, 222 yards passing and a touchdown. And Winston also ran for 40 yards on the ground. Geno Smith for the Seahawks, 167 yards passing, one touchdown. DK Metcalf had 96 yards and a touchdown. And that's really it. Those are the only really, wow. You look at New Orleans defense. Wow, Demario Davis, 2 sacks. Malcolm Jenkins, 1 sack. Cameron Jordan, 1 sack. Tanoa, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the guy's last name. His first name is Tanoa. He had a sack as well for New Orleans. So they had 5 sacks. So good job by the Saints defense. But it's really been all about for the Saints this year. It's been about Alvin Kamara and the Saints defense, and that's it. Everyone else has stunk. Sorry, it's just true. It's amazing that the Saints are 4-2. To be honest with you, that's amazing because that team I think stinks. Good defense and Alvin Kamara, and that's it. So that's it for last week's games. All right, here's Joe's picks for Week 8 with the point spread and straight up. We're going to get into that right now. I got to share a screen. Let's go. Here we go. Okay, so now I got to do the share screen. Oh, jeez, Louise. I'm so slow with this. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, everyone. I am so slow with this. All right, share screen. Window. There we go. Voila. Okay, everyone, here we go. All right, so my week 7 results. It was probably the poorest week I had so far. I was 7-5-1. So seven wins, 5 losses, and 1 push with the spread. And then straight up, I was 7-6. Year to date so far with my results with the spread, I'm 65, 40, and 2. That's 65, 40, and 2 with the spread. And straight up for the season, I'm 70 and 37. So good numbers overall, I'd say. Now here are my my picks for Week 8, and again, these picks will be updated on Sunday on my Sunday morning program, Cup of Joe, which I usually do. I usually start around 8 or 8:30 a.m. So I will update. Normally, I don't really change my picks too much on Sunday morning. This Sunday, I have a feeling I will be because we have a lot of players that have been injured who may be coming back this week, or even players like Dak Prescott who we're looking to see what's going on with his calf. He may not be playing this week. We'll see. So, but I don't know. Christian McCaffrey, I think, may be coming back this week. Saquon Barkley may be coming back this week. So you have a lot of players who may be coming back this week, and obviously that's going to affect my picks. All right. So don't be surprised if a lot of my picks change Sunday morning. So as of right now, thank God this week it's only 2 teams that have the bye. Last week it was 6 teams. That was horrible. That was horrible. This week it's only the Raiders and the Ravens. So Packers at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are giving 6.5 points. As of right now, I'm taking the Packers getting the points and the Cardinals straight up. You know what? I'm going to change this. Right now, I'm going to change this to the Cardinals giving the points because I believe Javonte Adams is out for the Packers. Cardinals giving the points. All right. So right now I'm taking it as the Cardinals straight up and the Cardinals giving the points. Again, the Cardinals are giving 6.5. So I'm taking the Cardinals laying the points. But I got to see what's going on Sunday morning with the Packers roster. I believe Davante Adams is going to be out. I think maybe they have another wide receiver who's out. And if that stays the same, then I'll probably keep my picks the way they are. Because as far as I can tell, then Aaron Jones will be the only real weapon that Packers have. But you know what? Never count out Aaron Rodgers. Never count out Aaron Rodgers. He just makes things happen. So, and I do think the Cardinals are due for a loss. And I can see the Packers being the team to lay the first loss on the Cardinals. So, but I'm going to play it safer right now. I'm going to go with the Cardinals giving the points and the Cardinals straight up. Panthers at the Falcons. The Falcons are giving 3 points. I'm taking the Falcons giving the points and the Falcons straight up. If Christian McCaffrey is playing this weekend, I will probably change these picks. But right now, the Falcons are playing solid football. They're showing up every weekend and they're playing hard and they're doing just enough to win. The Panthers have lost 4 in a row. They look really bad. They look really, really bad. So if McCaffrey's playing, I could easily change these picks. If he's not, these are the picks that I'm going with. As of right now, I'm taking the Falcons, assuming that McCaffrey is not playing this weekend. Dolphins at the Bills. The Dolphins are reeling. Bills are giving 13.5. I'm taking the Bills, giving the points, and the Bills straight up. Not a surprise at all. 49ers at the Bears. The 49ers are giving 4 points. I'm taking the Bears getting the points because the Bears defense, except for this past weekend, it was against the Buccaneers. Not a surprise. Bears got destroyed. They left 35 points. But other than that, the Bears defense has played very well this year and has kept this crappy offense of the Bears in games. And the 49ers are looking like crap themselves. So the 49ers are going into Chicago and they're giving 4 points. I'm going to go with the Bears getting the points. And I don't be shocked if Sunday morning, right now I'm going with the 49ers straight up, but don't be shocked if I change it to the Bears winning. I think the 49ers just look like crap, but the main thing is Justin Fields. He hasn't looked good, and that's not a complaint. He's a rookie quarterback. He's a rookie quarterback, I think, under a horrible head coach in Nagy. But right now I'm going with the Bears getting the 4 points. I'm going with the 49ers straight up, but that could change. That could change Sunday morning. Steelers at the Browns. The Browns are giving 3.5 points. I'm taking the Steelers getting the points in this one, and I'm taking the Steelers straight up for the upset in this game in Cleveland. Cleveland's defense looked really good. I think the Steelers' defense is good though too, and they have Deontay Johnson, their number 1 wide receiver, is back. And with the Browns, we'll see. This could change too. Is Chubb gonna be back? Is Chubb gonna be back this weekend? I don't know what's going on with Kareem Hunt. I think Hunt is out for a while. Chubb is is Chubb gonna be back? I don't know if Dearness Johnson can do to the Steelers defense what he did to the Broncos defense. I know the Broncos defense is good, don't get me wrong, but can he do it 2 weeks in a row against another good defense is my question. He might. He might. I wouldn't be shocked if he does, but that's a big time question mark in my head. So right now, I'm going to go with the Steelers getting the points and the Steelers straight up. Also, what's going on with Baker Mayfield? Is he playing or is Case Keenum playing yet again? And Case Keenum's a good backup. You can't ask for a better backup than Case Keenum. He plays it safe. He knows what he's doing. He's a pro. He knows what he's doing. But right now, I'm going with the Steelers getting the points and the Steelers straight up. Like I said, that might change. That might change Sunday morning. We'll see. So many question marks this week. So many question marks. Eagles at the Lions. The Eagles are giving 3.5 points. I'm taking the Lions getting the points, and I'm taking the Lions straight up to get their first win. I shouldn't do it. I do like the Lions. They've played hard every single week. They show up every week to play. They play hard under Dan Campbell. I'm really rooting for the Lions. But then again, they're 0-7, and the smart move is to, go with is to go against the winless team until they prove that they can win a game. But I don't know. The game's in Detroit. I'm going to stick with it. The Eagles are giving 3.5 points. I'm going to go with the Lions getting the points and the Lions straight up. I think the Lions are getting their first win this week against the Eagles. Titans at the Colts. The Colts are giving a point. I'm taking the Titans getting the point and the Titans straight up in this game. The Titans are just looking so good. This is a really good matchup. This is a game that could decide, even though it's kind of early in the season, this is a game that could decide who wins this division. That is, if the Colts win, the Titans can still be in it because the Titans will be 5-3. But if the Titans win, they'll be 6-2, and the Colts will be 3-5. And that will, the Colts will have a bit of a climb to try to catch the Titans to win the division. So if the Titans win this weekend, they could really ice the division for themselves. But I'll tell you, this is going to be this might be the game of the week. This might be the game of the week. This is a good game. The Colts they've gotten better and better every week. Carson Wentz has gotten better and better every week. I believe T.Y. Hilton is going to be back this week, which I do think is going to make a big difference for the Colts. But I got, with the Titans, they're looking so good. They beat the Bills and then the Ravens. Not the Ravens, I'm sorry, the Bills. And then who did they beat last week? Anyway, the Titans have like 2 really good wins in a row. And they're just looking so good right now. They're just looking so good. And no one seems like they can really stop Derrick Henry. Colts are a good defense. If a team's going to do it, it could be the Colts. But we'll see. I got to go right now. I got to go with the hottest team, and that's the Titans. So right now, it's the Colts giving 1 point in Indianapolis. I'm going to go with the Titans getting the points and the Titans straight up to pull the upset. That's going to be, I think, the game of the week. That's a good game. Bengals at the Jets. The Bengals are laying 10.5 points. I'm taking the Bengals giving the points and the Bengals straight up. And I don't even know who the quarterback for the Jets is. Who's going to be the quarterback for the Jets this weekend? Original backup quarterback, or is it going to be Joe Flacco? Okay, I'm back. Flacco was just traded for this week, so I doubt he's starting for the Jets this week. But I got to go with the Bengals given the points. The Bengals looking so good right now. Rams at Texans. Rams are giving 14.5 points. I'm taking the Rams giving the points and the Rams straight up. Not a surprise at all. Patriots at the Chargers. Chargers are given 6 points. I'm taking the Chargers giving the points and the Chargers straight up. Yeah, I think the Chargers are just significantly better than the Patriots. Patriots have been solid this year. They've been solid, but I think the Chargers are significantly better than the Patriots. Jaguars at Seahawks. Seahawks are given 3 points. I'm taking the Jaguars getting the points and the Jags straight up for the Jaguars to get, I think, their second win of the season. So I'm taking the Jags going into Seattle. Going into Seattle is never easy, but Seattle's just not looking good with Geno West at quarterback. Seattle's defense also stinks. I think I don't even remember if Carson's playing or not. He might still be injured. So I got to go with the Jaguars in this game. Yeah, I'm taking the Jaguars getting the points. I'm taking the Jaguars straight up to pull the upset and I believe get their second win of the season. And let's see, Washington at the Broncos. The Broncos are laying 3 points. As of right now, I'm taking Washington getting the points and the Broncos straight up, but that could change. That could change. We'll see. I don't have a strong feeling about that game right now. As of right now, I'm taking Washington getting the points, but the Broncos straight up to win. And then I guess no, it's not the last game. Okay, Buccaneers at the Saints. The Buccaneers are giving 5.5 points in New Orleans. I'm taking the Buccaneers giving the points and the Buccaneers straight up. I don't think this game's gonna be close at all. I think the Saints stink. I really do. I think the Saints have a good defense, and Alvin Kamara is awesome, but that's all they have. I think the Buccaneers are going to destroy the Saints in New Orleans. Cowboys at the Vikings. Dallas is giving a point and a half right now in Minnesota. I'm taking Dallas giving the points and Dallas straight up. This could change. It depends on Dak. I think, and I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. Is it still Andy Dalton? I don't remember. No, Dalton was on Chicago. I don't even know who their backup quarterback is, but Dallas's offense is so potent right now. I think if they could put anyone back there, even Andy Dalton from last year, they could put him back there, and they'd probably still put up at least 30 points. And the Vikings have a really potent offense, obviously, as well. But in the games in Minnesota, but I think Dallas's defense is just they're playing really, really well. And I think that's just going to be a big difference maker is Dallas's defense because these are two very potent offenses. But if Dak is healthy, no question, no if he's playing, no question that Dallas, that I'm going with Dallas giving the points and Dallas straight up. But we'll see. I might change my mind on that come Sunday morning if Dak is not playing. Giants at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are giving 10 points. Not a surprise. As of right now, I'm taking the Giants getting the points and the Chiefs straight up. I'm definitely taking the Chiefs straight up no matter who plays for the Giants. The reason why right now I'm taking the Giants getting the points is I believe Saquon and Kadarius Toney are going to be playing this weekend. And if so, I think that'll allow the Giants to keep it somewhat manageable. I know the Chiefs are not the Chiefs in the past few years. They're 3-4, but they're not the Giants. The Chiefs still know what they're doing, and I will never count out Mahomes or Hill and Kelsey and Andy Reid. But and also with Patrick Mahomes, is he going to play? We don't know that yet. He apparently had a concussion this last week. Is Mahomes going to play? We don't know. Like I said, this week is filled with friggin' question marks. So based on these are my assumptions for right now for this game. My assumptions are that Mahomes will play, and my other assumptions are that Barkley and Toney will play for the Giants. And I think that's going to allow the Giants to keep it. And this is the Monday night game. I think if they both play, that will allow the Giants to keep themselves in this game. Not that they're going to win, not that they're ever going to have a lead or a big lead in the game, but it'll allow the Giants to keep themselves competitive in this game. If Barkley and Toney, if either of them are not playing, then I'm going to be changing this pick on Sunday. I'd say both of those guys need to play for the Giants to, have any chance to be within 10 of the Chiefs. So we'll see. I might change this Sunday morning. It will see what happens with Mahomes and Barkley and Tony. And that's it, guys. And yes, I am relying on Tony a lot because I'm sorry. I saw what he did in the Dallas game, and I saw what Tony did in the Saints game. And that guy, I am convinced. Now, I'm not saying this just as a homer because I'm a Giants fan. That guy looks friggin' uncoverable. So yeah, Tony looked friggin' amazing. So, and Kansas City's defense is horrible. It's been really bad this year. So, like I said, if they can get, if Shep is playing, I should say if Shepard's playing, um, and I think Shepard might be coming back this week as well. But especially if Barkley and Tony are playing, I'll give the Giants a decent chance to come within 10 points. Okay, within 10 points. And anyway, before I sign off here, I got 3 more comments. Rich, yep, I like the Lions call. Yeah, I think the Lions they're due for a win. Rich, they're due for a win. The Chiefs, yeah. I know. I got you. The Chiefs. I could definitely have to go with the Chiefs getting the win. I'm just wondering whether or not if the 10 points in terms of if Mahomes is not playing, that can make a difference. But it also depends on for the Giants like I said, is Barkley going to play and is Tony going to play? It can't just be Darius Slayton like they had last week against the Panthers. That's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. So anyway, let's see. Oh, let me get to my banners. All right, guys. So I gave myself a little more time in the show because I know Dollars to Deuces isn't going on tonight. Again, Dollars to Deuces will be on early tomorrow morning at around 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's our schedule for our in-season shows here at Toilets and Titles. We have 8 shows. Monday night, Waiver Wire for Patreon members only. Tuesday at 8 p.m., Toilets and Titles, which is our flagship program. Wednesday at 9 p.m., you're watching it right now, baby. Joe Knows the NFL Review Preview. Following the show, usually at around 10:30 p.m., is Dollars to Deuces with Rich and Nate. That's weekly betting advice. Again, the show's not on tonight. They had to postpone. It's going to be on early tomorrow morning at around 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday at 8 p.m. is a dash of DFS. Saturday at 7:30 p.m. is Down Under Dynasty. Yes, you've heard it correctly. We have our own Australian crew providing fantasy football, dynasty fantasy football advice. Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. Check them out. They're a lot of fun. Great crew of 3 guys. Sunday at 8 a.m. is my other show, Cup of Joe, where I recap the NCAA games and I give a brief updated NFL preview of the Sunday and Monday games coming up for the NFL. It's really kind of like my updated picks. And then following that show at Sunday at around 10:30 a.m. is the Blitz, which is our start sit advice show. It says call-in show. It will eventually be a call-in show. As of right now, what you can do if you have any fantasy questions at all, the show is hosted again. It's called the Blitz. It's hosted by Mike, Alex, and Justin, and they give their own fantasy advice and they answer any and all questions that you send through the chat. You can send any questions you have for fantasy advice through the chat. They will address any and all questions, all 3 of them. So it's a great show. I catch that every Sunday morning as well. It's a lot of fun. So, and again, it's called the Blitz. And check it out. It's a lot of fun. We got great programs, everyone. And we're going to add more in the future. Let me get rid of that. Again, the Twitter handles for me and my compadres here at Toilets and Titles. There's like 12 or 13 of us now. Check us out. We all add and contribute so many different things, shows, articles, and it's a great crew. So try to follow everyone on Twitter. Those are our Twitter handles. And friendly reminder, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell, give us that 5-star Apple review, damn it, because we deserve it, because we're just awesome. Yes, we are. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Rich, thanks for checking in. I appreciate it, buddy. And hey, go Raiders, Rich, go Raiders. I'm rooting for them. And I'm glad to see that we've got only 2 teams on bye this week. I couldn't stand having 6 teams on bye last week. It was horrible. But anyway, we're getting to the halfway mark of the NFL season. This is week 8. So getting close to the halfway mark of the NFL season. Things are starting to shape up, and it's been a really good season so far, I have to say. My Giants have to do better in order to make it a great NFL season, but so far it's been really good. Anyway, I'm out of here, everyone. Have a great night. I will see you Sunday morning 8:30 a.m., 8 or 8:30 a.m. with my other show, Cup of Joe, Sunday morning, where I review the NCAA games and I again preview the upcoming Sunday and Monday NFL games. Peace. I'm out of here. Have a great night, everyone. Take care.